Bum. Wait, that's the fucking
All right, we're
Family
live.
Feud. That's the Family Feud theme.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Business and Gaming. There's a lot that's happening right now, and we're actually going to get Otto to introduce us to our new introduction intro. Otto, what's this intro that you're thinking of?
Live from New York, it's Saturday Night Live. No, I'm just kidding.
JRP, come on down.
JRP in his hey, you about to do a keynote speech?
Yeah. So
We about to hear the
let me
latest
just,
and greatest from Rev.
from 1-3 Gaming. First of all, there's a lot happening with new mints coming out. We saw Paradise Tycoon's mint jump, I believe, 700%. If anybody wants to check in on that price, pretty wild.
Holy
And
shit!
also, we saw the free mint by Goat Gaming now at $200 that recently went out. So, like, there's a couple of cool, things that are launching in gaming. Curious to hear what everybody else thinks, and anyone mint the Goat Gaming NFT. Curious there.
Bah.
Nick.
Nah, I did not.
No, I did not. But the goat mint sounds pretty cool. I like the name, like the goat. Is that how it was? Like the goat or the goat?
It's Goat Gaming, man. It's Mighty
Goat
Action
Gaming.
Heroes in them.
Like
Yep.
so, the greatest of
You know
all
the
time.
people.
Or
You know
literal
the
goat?
the people that we like relentlessly supported, and then they became Goat Gaming and never like talked to us again. Those guys.
Damn.
Yo, we're
Shit right there.
live, bro. What the? Calm down, Unc.
I mean, I'm just keeping it a buck, bro.
Calm down, Unc. Yeah, but I did not partake in that mint. But that's interesting that I didn't even know they shifted gears into that. To be honest with you, because we lost touch.
Exactly. Yeah. But honestly, no. I mean, that's really cool to hear that a free mint is trading at like $200. It's a pretty good sign for the space. And obviously, they have like a pretty good playable game. Like we enjoy Mighty Action Heroes, so I'm happy to see them take the dub.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Said,
and concerning game releases, it feels as if everybody times they literally have the products, but they wait for the green candles. And as soon as they hear that sentiment shift, which happened last week with BTC Nashville, Trump being a keynote speaker, then they release. So I guess these are just strategies we'll continue to witness in the space. Products being made but not being released in a bear because apparently, and as it has been seen, that doesn't really have that amplifying effect as much as when sentiment is high in the ecosystem.
Clouds is saying the rest of the panel sounds a bit low. We can manually turn up mics here, so. Oh wait, I don't know how to do that. I thought I had a button for that. Oh, edit mic setting. There we go.
I just pushed mine to 100, so hopefully that helps.
Yeah, there you go. Sound a little better.
I'm pushing console to 120.
Let's get
pushing
it.
to 150, man. He deserves it. Yeah, the Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference almost led to some all-time highs, but now we're not with BTC. What do you all think about what was said? Just like a quick TLDR, pretty much want to get BTC as a Federal Reserve backing the dollar. We saw also getting some acts pushed, I think for that reason in particular, Trump reinforcing those and some more political kind of partnerships, I would say. Kamala Harris reaching out to some of the top crypto companies saying that they want to re-engage in conversations outside of the Biden administration. I think overall just really great for the space. Politicians are politicians. They're going to say what's going to get them elected. And
1000%.
Well, the thing is, Cynthia Loomis did propose a new bill for the Bitcoin. It was like 1 million in reserves for Bitcoin, like to be a strategic asset. So I don't even think we need to wait for Trump or Kamala to do anything. I think Congress and the Senate are fed up, quite frankly, with the SEC and what's going on. I think that they're kind of just. The thing is, Perry Ann Boring and I think it was the Digital Chamber of Commerce has been grilling these folks to tell them this is not like what you've been hearing from Elizabeth Warren or Gary Gensler from the SEC. This is like very valuable to American freedom. It's very valuable to put this on the balance sheet as a strategic asset. And so it looks like they're trying to do that with or without the election, which I really love because I don't like that this whole thing was politicized as one party was going to be supportive and one party was anti. It now seems that everyone's getting educated on it and they're like shifting into like, okay, we need this because it's good for America. So
yeah, but just tapping into what JRP said, and I'm in Africa, so I take that statement to heart. Politicians are just politicians. I feel like it's all talk. I feel like when it actually comes to execution, it's going to be extremely difficult, especially with the fact that the US dollar is the US's strongest asset, stronger than their quote unquote army. We're also seeing that these other BRIC nations are adopting crypto to evade sanctions, so on and so forth. So will they keep the narrative positive towards Bitcoin or will that shift? Or is it just for the vote? And most importantly, how important are the crypto company endorsements plus the crypto voters vote? Because to me, it's nothing but let's tell them what they want to hear. The execution of it will be way, way more difficult when we look at the way the financial system has already been designed.
I would be inclined to agree with you, but the only thing that I will say about that is since they've been doing this new wave of like education and stuff, you're starting to hear the rhetoric from these politicians. And by the way, they're going to different conferences and stuff talking about how we need to regulate this stuff. So you're starting to see the pendulum shift away from this oh, everybody's a bad actor, we're all criminals and stuff, to now it's focusing on American innovation. And America really loves talking about itself, right? That's one thing I've learned as I've been alive in this country is that we in America love to boast about our wins and never talk about our losses, and also shift blame too. So I see this as an opportunity for them to kind of like, for a problem that they created, to fix a problem they created with crypto. So I do think regulations are going to be a rude awakening for some folks, but I also think it's going to allow a lot of jobs to be created, a lot of businesses to be able to thrive. And the other thing too is, since there hasn't been anything like this ever, a lot of companies or like crypto companies and businesses have had to move overseas to get what they want done. And America is understanding we're losing the dominance, right? And everyone keeps reminding everyone, if we did that with the internet age and not like dominate the internet age, we would never have had Uber, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc. And so I think that the US is playing catch up right now. And that's why I think they might be saying things to get elected. Sure, I definitely agree with that. But I think there is some actual like realization on their end, figuring out, oh, we actually have to do this or we're going to lose like the rest of the world on this innovation.
I actually don't know if it's that, because when you think about it, where has most of the innovation happened in crypto? Like, it still is in the States. Like, the money is still in stateside. Yep.
Real quickly, let me hop into the chat. What's up, JK? GM?
JK.
Isn't it GN for you?
Up?
What's good, Clouds? BB, what's up, bro? All right, let's get back to the conversation. And yeah, Juan was saying most of the innovation does happen in the States.
Most of the, we gotta look at the innovation. I think that we will see more innovation, ideally with regulation that comes into the space. But like first and foremost, like a lot of that talent is still here in the Western side. And
for sure,
we are seeing a lot more push in Asia, but like Asia regulation is so much like easier on crypto right now. And I'm hoping that we can get there very soon. But I agree with you, Hato. Like America loves talking about itself, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Like on a totally different note, like I don't know if you've all been following what's happening in Venezuela, but like that's really interesting to me. I just like my Twitter feed, my TikTok feed is like filled with what's happening in Venezuela, which
You
is
know,
kind of crazy. I wonder if anything will happen there.
just a quick follow up to what you said about like everyone doing the innovation here. That is true, but I will say this: a lot of the different technology based innovations have kind of come from the Asian region. They go there to like kind of understand and study these things, and then they come back to the US, they come back to the EU, and they take what they've learned and implement that because as it is, the regulations are very more friendly over outside of the US. And what they have done really is gone and learned how to use all this tech, and they're coming back to the States, they're coming back to EU, and they're kind of implementing all these ideologies into our countries and stuff. So I do agree that the innovation does happen here, but like the wave didn't start here, right? And I gotta say, the US is behind, even though like I agree with you, JRP. The innovation starts, or it doesn't start here, but it ends up here. But I think that like places in China, places in Europe, and then especially like Singapore, they're way ahead of us in terms of like the innovation. Like, well, maybe not the innovation, but the adoption of the innovation, I should say.
Well,
I
I just
have a
got done
different-
talking to really quickly. Like I just got done talking to an Asian-based IP studio, and they're saying that the innovation that's happening in Asia right now is Bitcoin L2s. So I don't know how like innovative that is, if it's innovative at all. But yeah, curious to hear your thoughts, Consul.
You said Bitcoin L2s?
Yeah, like that's all the rage there right now.
Really? I mean, layer 2s on ETH didn't really do much, so I don't know like how that's gonna work or change things. But isn't the Lightning Network technically a layer 2?
No clue. Jordan would be able to answer that. He's not here with us today, but hey, shout out to Jordan.
We need Jordan's nerdy self back. Damn it. Yeah, because I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, I would say from what I've observed that innovation actually does happen in the States. It just takes a whole different life outside of the States. And one thing that has been happening essentially is since 2017, there have been less crypto talent coming out of States because of the regulatory environment. I don't know how it is in the States, but I have a friend there who I speak to almost daily, and he tells me it feels like you have a gun. You need this and that and this. And so the States definitely still leads when we look at the capital markets. New York is really where the money is. Majority of the investment pours out from the States. But as different regions of the world touch base, start to understand what smart contracts are and how they can be implemented, it's slowly shifting and moving away because mostly of the cost to set up a startup, even beyond just a crypto company in the States in comparison to other regions of the world. But definitely, I would say that the innovation really does stem there. The whole world look at the US in terms of how are they going to treat this asset on a legal regulatory framework, and then they basically implement the same policies, right? That would be my take.
Shamgar said it's easier for them to use people in Asia and Philippines and bring back the tech to those, or bring the tech to those parts of the world and refine it and then bring it back to America. One thing I will say on that real quick, I think that since there's like a unregulatory friendly body, meaning SEC is kind of like a cop on the beat. It's not a, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. If you don't fix this, we're going to sue you. Instead, they're just like, hey, you didn't know you were doing something wrong. Now we're suing you. Deal with it, right? And that's kind of bleed out a lot of companies that have been like Library Token, for instance. Library as like the business fell apart, but Library Token still exists because it's a decentralized asset. Even the judge said that, but they couldn't fight the SEC because they ran out of money. So I think the reason why you're seeing a lot of talent leave the US and then eventually they're going to come back because like the US is where all the money's at. the reason why they don't want to stay in the U.S. is because you never know when you're working on something and then you're going to get a knock on your door. Hey, cease and desist. Here's a Wells notice. Now you got to go fight
Oh
the
no,
SEC.
man. They
You
should
know, a
watch
little bit.
Fast and fucking Furious and just get out of there. You know? Yeah, I'm just kidding, but go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, I mean, I was saying, like, it's not like you never know, right? Like, you know a little bit if you're doing something that's risky. I do agree, like, there's a huge amount of innovation that needs to happen in this space that probably can't happen well within the US's, like, legal framework, so it has to happen other places, and then it'll kind of filter here. Oh, wait, crap. I got to bounce again for a minute. Shipping right now. I'll be back once this auction house is done.
Something I wanted to touch on earlier though was about the Lightning Network. I think it wasn't ever referred to as an L2, but that's basically what it was for Bitcoin. By the way, like if it were to be launched today, it would pretty much be like a L2.
Because I mean, it cannot scale, and Light Network was like the scaling solution and the speed solution as well. Not foolproof. There was actually an exploit I know that happened a few months back, but there's something Jordan said that I wanted to touch on. Fuck, forgot it.
I actually want to touch on one thing that you said, Hado, and I believe that yes, the money is in the States. That is without a doubt. That's the largest GDP in the world. Mm-hmm. But when you're thinking of setting up a company, even beyond the legalness that you have to go through, if you're gonna employ people in the States, especially as a startup, that is gonna look very unattractive. And that's why the comment made a whole bunch of sense. We're seeing even studios outsource dev talent in Vietnam, Philippines, Southeast Asia, essentially because it's way, way cheaper for a startup that really can't carry that risk, more so in an environment that is wishy-washy on a legal platform, right?
100%. No, I definitely agree with that. It's going to be way cheaper to hire people that are out overseas. You kind of take less risk as a company in the eyes of the U.S. law because now those people are susceptible to their jurisdictions, not yours. Remote work is like kind of it's good and bad because if you have like a physical team there, people will be way more on the same page. But I have worked in a startup where they used Ukraine workers to QA test everything that we put out, like for the application. So they make sure that if a customer is asking for all these different buttons for their music festival, all these different buttons need to work in a certain way, and they were fucking literal. Like so anything you wrote down, it had to be like that. There was no gray area. And I mean, for one, it was an opportunity for them to work because they're in Ukraine, but it was another thing. It was cheaper. It was very cheaper to do that. So I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, dev cost between. Oh, go ahead, JRP.
No, you go ahead.
Dev cost between states and overseas. Like, I'll just be frank with you. Like, 2 devs in the States is like a whole team overseas.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
And going back to like the point of like things usually go to Asia and then come back to the States, like we actually usually see innovation start in the States, like as like a seed, go to Asia and then grow and then come back like fully matured back into the States. Because for some reason we just can't find that connection to innovate as quick and as changed user behavior as in Asia for some reason. The best way that I've seen this happen in gaming in particular has been with free to play with monetization. So like when Doom started, Doom would sell like CDs of their game to people and they would send it for free. They would have like a newspaper that said like, hey, if you want to play our game, just like send us your address and we'll send you the game for free. People would get the game and would get into one level, and if they wanted to play the next 10 levels, they would have to pay to get the next ones. And so it was like the first form of like free to play and also just kind of like microtransactions. That model then moved over to Asia and then obviously came back here, and that's where a lot of our mobile based studios are making their money today.
Yeah, and also the objectives of each region are different too. Like everybody does have the same objective, which is growth, right? But um, I guess the objective is not what I mean. Like the method is different, right? Like the ideology behind it's different. The reason
I
why,
have to drop. Sorry about that, guys.
okay, the reason why we have like certain things, it's kind of like it's because in one region they prioritize one thing, and in North America they
Yeah.
prioritize something completely different, completely separate. So
Yeah, for sure. And if we're to take the conversation towards gaming, it would make sense that that hard mentality occurs in Asia because simply it's just way cheaper to acquire a user on that side from a marketing standpoint in comparison to spending some odd dollars or just trying to incentivize the American gamer to partake in your ecosystem, right?
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
gamers in the U.S. aren't really motivated by financials at the moment because gamers in other regions like that might be a way for them to put bread on the table. For us, it's not enough. Like
Yeah,
we're not
I would say the common misconception with like American gamers is everyone's like, oh, gamers in the US don't care about money. No, it's just not enough money yet, right?
yeah,
Like you
Yeah.
tell gamers in the US they can make $100 a day doing this shit, it would be a very different story.
true.
I'm just saying.
That is so true.
Yeah.
I definitely think um that's one of the reasons why I haven't really grabbed like the way that people have grabbed games in this space to like live by it, because I've seen people that attach their entire existence to like a chain or Ron or whatever, because that gave them life, that gave them bread, right? Like these games aren't giving me life
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, I think in our case, like that would probably be different, right? Like we got our own thing going on in this space, but just in general, like there's a lot of gamers that would all of a sudden try to overlook the whole fucking Web3 is a scam. Like they'd be more willing to try it out if there was bigger gains to be had. Like I'm just calling it for what it is,
For
right?
sure.
Like doesn't mean that it changes anything about the facts. Like the games are half cooked, things need to improve. But a lot of people would give it a bigger shot if there was more at stake.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, and one thing about the American gamer is that altogether, as you're saying, Hado is the archetype is different, right?
Mhm.
A huge portion of them play on console. I don't think to date I've heard of any Web3 game on console yet. A
Right.
majority are also very much into that FPS PC scene. And to date, I don't think we've, as Web3, released something to that degree and more so to the quality. Better yet, to give them that amount that makes them fully interested for the cost of living on that side, right? It's way
Right.
cheaper for me. Truly, I can survive with a very low amount here and I can full time be an airdrop hunter, farmer, whatever you want to call that. And that is in the same case in different regions of the world as it stands. We don't have the economic models yet.
Yeah, and another thing I will say too is I don't really know too many gamers in the U.S., and I'm sure Mizzy could correct me on this because I don't play WoW, or I'm not deep in the weeds like he was with WoW. But I don't know too many gamers in the U.S. that want to like sponsor or be a sponsor, like that type shit, right? Like that was something
Oh,
that
like
I discovered.
the yeah, how they had like the scholarships and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, not really, to be honest. A lot of us, I would say like a lot of WoW MMORPG archetype players are kind of loners.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong, a lot of us do raid and PvP and shit, but like there's still always a component within that game where you can't enjoy it by yourself. I don't
mhm,
really see someone wanting to run a whole fucking on a wide scale, right? Like there's always the exception to the rule, but on a wide
right,
scale, I don't see the general player base being like, "Oh yeah, I want to manage 20 people that are going to ask me, a million questions throughout the day because they should. It's a game. They're going to ask me, but like at that point it's work, you're not playing anymore."
exactly. Exactly. And the thing is, like, gamers that game here in the US versus overseas, like, we come from work to lose the gaming, or to lose like the work thing, right? So like when we open up a game, it's an immersive experience to like get away from work, and it's an escape essentially. And
For sure.
For people in, you know, other regions, it may be an escape, but it also may be like I said, bread on the table. It may be like a way of life for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's very, very different in terms of like what we look for as a gaming crowd versus what Asia looks for, or even like South America. So it's a very, very different draw to why people are gaming in the first place in America.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
So now that we're hostless, what's the next topic?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Oh,
I'm gonna
You know
hop
what's
on
interesting?
Telegram and see.
Yeah, but one thing I also want to bring to the discussion is how China has really been dominating the mobile gaming scene, right? I think that is also something very interesting. If we're to talk about different archetypes and different gamers, we're seeing how China is putting in the top 10 games that are natively for the Chinese market. So I think that's also something I just wanted to toss out there. Maybe we can talk about that a little.
Yeah, you brought up like the American market is like big console gamers, and I agree with you. But what I will say about China is that since they don't really they have mimic consoles, right? Where I don't know if that's where Soldier Boy got his Soldier Boy console from, but I remember seeing
he got that shit from AliExpress,
which is a Chinese thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so over there, even when you're buying PC parts, you got to be careful because you might run into someone that is selling you a PC part that has been modified, or a mimic PC part, right? Like I remember I bought something off of Wish whenever Wish was big, because now it's Temu.
Yep.
I bought like a 2 terabyte stick, like a flash drive stick thing, like a slot that you put in, and it was not 2 terabyte. It was only like 128 mega, or not megabyte. I think it was gig or something. But whatever it said, it was false advertisement, and that's the thing with those sites. You got to be careful with those. But like, my point is, China doesn't have like an established market where like these pieces of hardware come out and these games come out for these hardware. It's kind of like a subculture of their gaming. It's more so what you're saying. It's mobile gaming, a little bit of PC gaming here and there, because they do have like League of Legends teams and shit. But it's more mobile gaming, because they're the one thing I will say about China is that their phones are so much better than the US phones, because they have features that the US phones don't even know about, or people that with US phones don't even know about, right? Like, I think it was Huawei. I don't know how to say that company.
Huawei.
Yeah. They make all the tech, and they build all the phones and stuff. And like, they got like a dope ass camera on their phone. Like, they got a dope ass specs and stuff. And the reason why they're gaming on there is because like their phones is kind of like, I would say, our equivalent of like a Nintendo DS, but not in the technological sense, but like the effect of the usage of it, because their phones are way better for those kind of things. So I definitely agree with you.
That, because you bring a very good point to the table. We all know that a phone has multiple purposes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the CCP, that being that one-party state that governs China with an iron fist, has in fact been trying to clamp down on gaming, right? Apparently, it is law that you should only play for 2 hours.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Right? And it's way easier for them to clamp down on companies that specifically make hardwares for gaming, right? If that's their objective. And I believe at some point, definitely this is not a fact. This is just something I skimmed through and could be 100% wrong, that imports for games were very, very difficult, right? Yeah. And to some degree, even looking at the Steam numbers coming from China, you don't know really how to decipher the data, because some are using VPNs, some are trying to pirate games, right?
Very good point.
Yeah, That's a really good point. Speaking on the hardware, though, on the mobile front, those guys are top notch. Like, I have an iOS. I also have a phone called Vivo. My iOS always needs to be on a charger, right? How can I game with something that needs to charge 24/7? We all know that gaming really draws on your battery, but they
Yeah.
have phones such as Xiaomi, Huawei, Vivo, which have thrilling graphics. So yeah, that's a really great point.
That too, and they also have the mobile networks that they can tap into. Like the infrastructure was built for a while. The US is like finally caught up a bit with the 5G, but they've had those mobile networks for a while. So online gaming, while you're playing on mobile anywhere, has been kind of like positive. It hasn't been negative. Like I remember, and I'll let you read that comment in just a second. I remember when was it the PS Vita came out and it had 3G on it. Can you imagine gaming on 3G? Like 3G is so bad. Like it's terrible. But China knows, they've been around the block for that, and they had 5G for a long time. So it's no surprise. Go ahead, Mizzy.
So based off of the comment that you guys were making earlier, Ying Tao, I think that's JK. Said it's
yeah,
for
that's
the
JK.
Asian market. Yeah, they know Asians mostly love to play mobile games. That's why they copy big games and make mobile versions that can easily sell to Asian market. China is good at this type of business. Yeah, honestly, it's a business model that works across all industries, not just like gaming. Fashion. It's called fast fashion. Like all these different companies, they'll take a successful business model, reskin it, or find something to tweak around for their target audience and then just resell it to them. I
Yeah.
don't think that's never going to go anywhere in any industry, really.
Yeah. And then that taps into what we were discussing earlier, right? Just to circle back, that the innovation happens in the States, but the scalability on that front is a little bit difficult because of the legal framework as well as the costs associated to USA.
Agreed.
True that.
Agreed.
That's very good points.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, is Jordan going to come back?
what happened?
Are they coming back?
I wouldn't count on it, to be honest.
Damn.
This is our show. I believe another topic that
I mean,
JRT
the three topics were NFT floor prices, Bitcoin conference takeaways, games are launching. What do you have your eye on?
yeah.
So I
Let's
so I
touch on
mean,
NFTs. Would love to know your thoughts on the NFTs.
So I mean, Moonfrost is like the one NFT collection that no one gave a fuck about that popped off, right? We're seeing Moonfrost sitting at a half an ETH floor,
Wait,
and that's
really?
yeah,
Motherfucker.
yep. They're sitting at half an ETH floor. It's kind of started this quiet narrative amongst some of the people that chill with in the space, where they're like, do we even need Twitter to show shit? Because Moonfrost, no one was really talking about it in Twitter,
I was.
which was, you definitely were, you were early as fuck to Moonfrost. I won't take that away from you.
True.
And I'm happy to see our space mature past Twitter. Like I think it was all Asia really with Moonfrost for the most part. Like Facebook, I've seen a lot of Telegram groups talking about them. Because as you guys know, uh, I'm a part of the Guildhall community, and Guildhall is like very international, right? So all the Asian guilds over there, they've been quietly accumulating Moonfrost NFTs, and it's caused the floor to pump. I
Damn.
personally don't play enough of the game to know exactly why they're pumping. I have to do more research on the gameplay itself, but
I have to as well because I mean it's a very like casual Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing type game.
yeah,
But I don't even know what the NFTs would be for because they mentioned like very early on digital collectibles, but they never mentioned how that would be. Like I've never seen a white paper, for instance. Like I don't know if that
exactly.
exists or not, but like they never really specified or clarified like what they are doing with Web3. They just said that they were Web3.
Yep. And then we got Ramen. If we ain't talking Super Vibe, I'm out. Yeah, bro. I was supposed to be able to coast this episode and play Super Vibe, and then both our hosts ghosted. So I'm getting my
Joke's
ass
on you. I'm
kicked.
playing right now.
I'm getting my ass kicked in these Super Vibe lobbies, but I'm playing.
Okay, yeah, me too.
So
Did they release
Shiv,
an
then-
Shiv,
NFT?
Shiv is still broken.
but yeah, what were you saying, console?
No, I was asking, did Supervive release an NFT?
No, I wish.
I know
No,
that's a pretty big
they're a
question.
Web 2 game.
So Super Vive. So about Super Vive, real quick. I actually DM'd them before. They said they will never be Web3 because they care about good games. And so that was their response. But then we booted up the game when we first got our hands on it, and they have tags for Web3. So I don't understand. Like, are they trolling? Like, do they plan on going Web3? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but they definitely have.
I
They
don't
definitely
think
have taken our community into account.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go to Web3, but I think like enough of traditional gaming's aware of us now that they're gonna poke fun at us and do shit. But hey, this is how it always starts, bro. Like, I remember just being a gamer in general before it was cool to be a gamer, and gamers were making millions as streamers and shit. Like they called us fucking dorks and losers and kids that lived in their mom's basement and all that shit, right? And
Yeah.
now everybody wants to be a fucking gamer. So
Yeah, but the thing is, they I don't think they're poking fun at Web3. I think they're just saying, "Hey, Web3, we're friendly to you guys." Like they kind of. And the other thing too is like they've reached out to like a lot of Web3 content creators to play this game in general, and it wasn't even like this was
Yeah.
before
I know,
they
before.
opened the game more up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm observing about the industry is that for indie devs, their enthusiasm to join Web3 definitely depends with the sentiment. So as the macroeconomic climate clears up, hopefully they'll be more bullish. For the game studios that are a bit more established with multiple titles, they're just on let's observe. One thing that I did notice about NFTs is that for this week in particular, ETH has had a decrease in terms of volume by 2%. And I'm just wondering, could this be because finally we're trading ETFs and that's maybe making these things expensive, despite, of course, the fact that majority of the ETF flow has been an outflow?
I mean, traditionally speaking, when these ETFs have come out, something happened with Bitcoin, everyone was hype, price plummets, it recovers, and then it pumps to a new all-time high. We haven't seen that yet with ETH, but I think the same thing will follow suit. And you could see a bunch of people like kind of exiting their NFTs to like position for that outcome, because it could be an opportunity to make a big bag, especially if you have a lot of Ethereum just held up in these NFTs. So I do think maybe they're trying to capitalize on the ETF, and then once that kind of subsides, I would be willing to bet we see a rise in NFTs on Ethereum again, just because once everyone gets past the oh my god, this is now a common thing, I can trade the ETF, it's so cool. Once you get past that, and it's like, okay, that's an investment vehicle for the boomers who don't actually want to risk holding crypto. They just want to get exposure to the crypto.
Yeah.
Then we're going to see a new wave of like, I think NFTs or people buying and selling NFTs and stuff. Because I think once people are more accustomed, I'm fighting a fruit fly. Fucking bitch. Okay, I got him. Once we see that kind of like resurgence of the market, I think we're going to see a lot of players come out and kind of be trading these NFTs again. I don't know if we're going to get to the level that we had in 2021, because I think that left a bad taste in a lot of retail's mouth. But people that are new to the space or opportunistic will always take opportunity when it sees fit. So there's always an opportunity for someone with money to make more money in this space, and that's what the NFTs allow, in my opinion.
And on that point, one thing that has been interesting to me is that despite the volume for ETH NFTs being low by 3%, those of Polygon have been shooting up. And so I'm wondering, will the hopes of everybody thinking that, okay, BTC will finally pour in money into altcoins. Can that finally happen with this ETF? Because Polygon NFT volume, I've actually dropped an image, not sure if we can load that up, is up by 100%, right? I feel like that just proves there is something going on there. We all know Polygon is, or rather structured itself to be natively that gaming chain, but more so, it's a layer 2 on ETH that is cheaper. So is this maybe a trend to see in the future?
There it is.
Oh, I'm muted. Fuck. This is all the NFTs, right?
Yeah, this is all on NFTs, and the fact that this ETF can actually bring plays towards this altcoins we've been all hoping for finally.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that for one, people took a gamble with these NFTs early on to see, oh, like if Bored Ape did this and Oni did that, or Azuki's did this, before we had these products. Now that we have these products and there's more liquidity for Ethereum, for Solana, etc. And mind you, there's going to be a Solana ETF. There's going to be an XRP ETF.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's going to be a basket of ETFs as well, where you're going to see ETFs that are dedicated towards meme tokens, ETFs that are dedicated towards NFT-based blockchains, stuff like that. I think we're definitely going to see those kind of ETFs. But I definitely agree with you. Now that there's more, see, the thing with crypto, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this or maybe don't believe when I say this, but there's not enough liquidity in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
There just isn't. If someone wants to sell a large sum of one crypto, and let's just say over $10 million worth of whatever, that's going to affect the market. Versus in the stock market, it barely moves because there's trillions of money in the stock market, right? So the liquidity in crypto is not really there yet. It's not a very liquid market, even though the whole asset class is valued at 2 trillion. Each crypto doesn't have 2 trillion, right? Only Bitcoin has 1 trillion, right? So
Yeah,
that's why you're seeing that as the most liquid asset, because there's a lot of money filtering in and out of Bitcoin. Everything else, like, it's just kind of, they still haven't really hit that kind of threshold of like, there's enough liquidity in the market for these things to be more stable and move up or down instead of being very, very volatile. So I think once these products come out, and mind you, the US started doing these products, and then now Hong Kong had an ETF for Bitcoin. There's an ETF for Bitcoin. I forgot what EU country. They also have ETPs for XRP. They have ETFs for besides the spot trading, they also have other things as well. So like futures. So there definitely are liquidity. There's definitely liquidity coming, right? Waves and waves of money is coming to this space. So after that is all said and done, and like now we have a new standard of liquidity, I definitely see more people hopping into these NFTs that more so are utility based, not necessarily like speculation, but provide some sort of utility. Absolutely, yes, I see that happening.
Well, I wonder if that was the case of Moonfrost. Like, I think it had to be, like, we've seen it happen with Big Time and Moonfrost, right? Like, there has to be something that fundamentally drives the user base and the player base to, actually want to collect the asset. Like, because no other gaming assets have popped off for the sake of like a hype game, Well,
I will say this: Moonfrost is doing an Alpha 3 right now. I'm thinking maybe people are speculating that this could be, the next big game in Web3 gaming, because I don't want to make this claim.
They still have to see something to do with the asset, right? Like,
right, but I want to make this claim, but I gotta say, every time a pixelated game pops off in Web3, or every time a game has popped off in Web3, it has been pixelated.
Yep, that's what I tweeted yesterday. Like, there seems to be like a really big meta around pixelated RPG games in particular.
And for whatever
which
reason,
is literally like
Asia
the
has
only
embraced it.
kind of RPG I don't like. But
And they've
I'm
also been in isometric view, right?
yep,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
for me, it's been
And they're
for
all
me, it's
somewhat
been an
plant-based.
interesting. It started some interesting conversations yesterday because a lot of people were like, "Yo, like them shits are only popping off because they're coming quicker to market, and that's due to the fact that pixelated games are easier to make." I mean, I can't say that's true, but I can't say it's not true, if that makes sense, right? Um, as far as the games
Yeah.
that are having success on both marketplace and daily active users, I mean, we have the Beacon, we have Moonfrost, we have Pixels, um, all of. I mean, there's like two more that I'm missing just right now off the top of my head, but
Can you tell me what?
essentially, it's like this weird fucking meta that's forming.
Can you tell me what marketplace this is on?
For Moonfrost,
Yeah.
I actually can't right off the top of my head. I have to look it up real quick, but I'll get it to you.
Okay, because I want to
But
bring
let
that
me
up
say
and
this.
kind of like see. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm hearing about Moonfrost for the first time. And in fact, I'm checking them out right now as we speak. Isn't this another farming game? It actually describes itself as
Yeah,
a
it's pretty
free to
much like a
play
farming game.
live sim farming RPG. So it seems like these farming games are that genre that really have a use case here because essentially they can tie the NFT, the whole economics to the assets, to the products that are produced, right? Isn't that more of a use case for this coins that we have in the ecosystem?
So
Essentially, that's exactly what I was getting at. Like the Moonfrost, I'm pretty sure it has a game loop where you need the asset that's basically pumping in order to do stuff in the game because it's a farming game.
all right, so
Um,
I have the actual asset in front of me.
okay.
It says become an officially licensed Frost Hunter in the Moonfrost universe with Frost Hunter NFT license as Moonfrost's first ever NFT to be released as part of its Genesis collection. License holders will have guaranteed access to Moonfrost release, receive allocation of Frost in the future airdrops, and benefit from several
Boom.
additional advantages which you have yet to be revealed. So airdrop and access to every release. I don't know if that means like you get it first because like I know if you pre-ordered a game, they would give you like for instance, if you pre-ordered NCAA football back in the day, you would get to play the game a week before everybody else. That was like the value add for everyone that pre-ordered it. So
Yeah.
is it taking a page out of Web 2? Kinda. If that's the approach, absolutely. But this is basically an extension to the airdrop.
Yeah.
Because other games have been doing like this play to airdrop campaign. Now this was like, I don't know what the initial price offering was for the NFT, but if you look here at the activity is showing that people are buying this 1K, 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 under 1K, but pretty much around 1K, 1.7K, 1.6. So pretty decent amount of money for this license that hasn't really even kicked in yet. You know what I mean? So I guess it's still speculative in nature, but it does have a little bit of utility with what they just said. So there you go.
There we go. There we have it live. Yeah. I wanted to definitely look more into what they have going overall because, like, no game airdrop has been bullish enough, in my opinion, for people to just be buying on that.
Yeah. And to me, just because I'm discovering this literally live with the audience, and I did say this in one of our episodes, I believe there was another game we spoke about where we were speaking of it pre-mint and somewhat speculating on whether they'll sell
Beacon.
out or not.
Yep.
Beacon, right? That was another RPG game, pixelated, right?
Another
They
pixelated.
all-
Yeah.
Yep.
And it had that same sell that, hey, own this NFT, somewhere down the line, you will have dash amount of airdrops or allocation of our token, right? And to me, it just seems that RPGs as a genre, not necessarily pixelated or not, have that use case for NFTs, right? Because if you're engaged in this open world, that asset which you buy as an NFT can grant you more access, more fruits, farming, whatever it is, right? Power ups. I think the RPG scene is really starting to prove itself to have that use case for NFTs.
I think
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are speculating that it is, but it still hasn't outside of, I guess, maybe Big Time, and that's like even a fuzzy area because like Big Time is the only one that I've actually seen it happen through live ops, right? Where but it was still a part of their airdrop where you needed a certain amount of the assets to be able to like farm the token and all that for the airdrop, but it was like happening live. With Moonfrost and Beacon, we're seeing the speculative like pre-live airdrop kind of meta play out. I would love to see a game similar. I don't want to compare a game to like Axie or something, but Big Time just did it with like the leaderboard and the airdrops. Like, I would love to see just like a regular game with a token out and assets that kind of tie into both the gameplay and the economy, just like do their thing rather than always be around like a speculative token release or airdrops to see if it's sustainable for like, even I don't even want to say long term, even for like 6 months. Like, let's see how it plays out, right?
I have a
That's the use case that would make
Yeah.
me most excited. But console, you're absolutely right. Like, the only games we're seeing be able to build even this level of intrigue are all RPGs, because Big Time is still an action RPG game.
I think that we could see, like, if there's enough money in this market where people are consistently buying, selling, trading, and stuff, I could see an ETF world, a world where we have an ETF for this kind of games, honestly, where people are kind of like holding the assets for people, and then like you're getting exposure to the, like, I don't know, the ETFs have just broken my mind how this market could work, because it's essentially, it makes a market of like risk management where it's like, I don't want to take the risk, but I want exposure. Well, couldn't you do that in theory for any asset on Earth? So like,
Technically, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, so I
mean,
could
what-
see games getting like a lot of liquidity from that.
yeah, and I think what you're talking about essentially is what was with Axie, the scholarship system, right? Because when I look at an asset that is 0.4 ETH, let me just convert that to dollars. I really feel like that prices out a lot of gamers, right?
Mhm.
Especially in an shush. Yeah, that prices out a lot of people. Wait, was that 0.4? Was I looking at that correctly, or
0.4, yeah.
0.04?
No, 0.4.
Damn. Yo, that is a lot of money in Kenya shillings. That is seriously a lot of money in Kenya shillings. That's like $1,000. That is pricing out gamers, especially gamers who complain about AAA experiences that are sold for $80, right? That is massive. And I agree with you, Hodo. We saw it with Axie, where people essentially were able to afford the assets. The gamers literally couldn't, and they would rent them out, right?
Yep.
But Jesus, that has given me a heart attack.
Yeah, I mean, we have like sponsors and all this stuff, and I think that the next wave of like what that would look like the future, would be some type of firm or brokerage holding that on your behalf, and you get access to it. So you don't even have to play the game as an investor. You could just get access to a liquid market like a Web3 game, and then that in itself would give liquidity, right? So you're really, what we're fighting now is we're finding ways to make these assets more liquid. And I definitely think that gaming could see like some kind of basket of ETF or some.
I mean, man, it wouldn't surprise me, man. At the peak of I don't know if you saw how bad, like, not how bad, but how crazy things got with Axie. Like, people thought Ronin was gonna become its own country during the hype of the last
Oh, wow.
bull market. I'm not even kidding. They
Yeah.
were calling it Axie Nation. Like, Google it. Like, they were trying to lobby for their own fucking country. So I mean, like, it started off as a meme, but it low-key started to get serious like halfway through before
Got it.
everything went down. So I mean, I would not be surprised to see that if they were starting rumors around making their own country. Like, ETF kind of seems small in comparison.
Yeah. JK did say love the utilities of this one. That's why the floor is high. How many people think like JK? You know what I mean?
JK, I don't know. I think a lot. That's
what I'm
why
saying.
it's at 0.4. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like if people like the thing is when people have a good idea, somebody probably had that idea already
Yep.
and have already made money off of it. So like for instance, Catalyst, right? Catalyst was a great idea. Somebody had an idea like Catalyst before, but maybe they didn't execute or whatever. But like we bring what we bring to the space. But there are a lot of people that do similar things that we do in the space. So like the idea of Catalyst, like as a gaming community, isn't the first time or that someone thought of that, right? So it must be that a lot of people are saying that these benefits could bring a lot of good utility to being a early holder, but also there's another aspect of it too. People that get in want to swing trade it and get money, so can't forget about that. And if the price goes up as a result, whatever you mint at a price and it goes way up, like you get a huge bag off of that, like at that point you're like, I don't care what the game does, I made a bag, right? So like this could be that side of it.
What I will say is, now that we're talking and you mentioned a couple things, like, man, this is gonna sound like a dickhead thing to say, but you notice how all the games that are having a certain amount of success are kind of outside of the bubble, like in this. And what I mean by that is they're just doing all the shit that all the gamers would bitch about. I don't mean outside of the Web3 gaming bubble. I mean outside of even traditional gaming bubbles, right? Like, if you told a bunch of regular gamers or traditional gamers, whatever the fuck you want to call them, because we're all gamers at the end of the day, like, hey, I'm going to create a game that is going to have future shit that you can get from, and that badge, I might release it for, $50 to $100, but it might end up being worth $1,000. They'll fucking kill you for that shit, right? But like any game that pops off in Web3 from a daily active user perspective is literally that.
Yep.
And
this is wild.
What?
I agree with you, Mizzy. No, I mean
the
price. I'm still shocked by the price of this.
Yeah, because it's literally that. Like you look at Big Time. Big Time did the same shit, right? Like, cool. You can play our game, but if you want to participate in the economy loop, you have to buy one of these assets. We're not in control of the price. The market is. Big Time assets all went over into thousands of dollars at one point. Even the cheapest assets were only a few $100. We're like $800. That was like one of the cheapest ones. Then you get to the point that you got a game like Moonfrost. Here's this asset. Hey guys, get this to get exposure to the additional assets within the ecosystem and future utility. Ends up going up to 1,000. So it's like all the people, all the games, all the people that sit here and pour, their heart out, giving all this quote unquote good advice, because technically, logically, it's good advice because you're telling people, hey, put the gamers first, do this, do that. I mean, I say it, Hato says it, but all the games that are having success don't reflect what we're saying or what other people in this space are also saying. Like, obviously, I'm way more speculative than most gamers in Web3 gaming.
Well,
but
I will say this. I want to put caution in what you're saying. This doesn't mean Moonfrost is going to be a good game or a successful game. It just means they had a successful mint. So even though they have a W here, if the game, because the thing is with these kind of W's, for instance, like Dead Drop had a good launch, and now those NFTs are down now because of what happened with the doc. Shrapnel had a great launch, and eventually their NFTs went to like a new all-time high, but eventually they came back down. And markets do these kind of things where it's like, oh my God, everything's up and everything's great. And it's like, best game ever, right? It's only a best game ever in Web3 because you're making money off of it. And so we're talking two things here. One, we want a game that is fun to interact with. It doesn't make me bored or make me lose interest within 5 to 10 minutes. I can play it for hours upon end, maybe even the whole entire fucking day. And I made some money versus we don't care what the game is. It made me a fuck ton of money. That's what we're kind of weighing here. And it's like, what has more weight? I think that the one on the right here with the example of the game sucks, it's just good money making. I don't think it has sustainability in the long term, because if it did, actually would have never fallen off. I think the other one hasn't shown that it's worth any value because no one has done it yet successfully how we would envision it. So it's kind of like you have to find somewhere in the middle, in my opinion.
I guess the claim of actually falling off is it fell off only
in terms of market cap.
It fell off only in comparison to its own status, though. Like, there still isn't any game that's gone and literally beaten it outside of its own project, essentially, with Pixels. Like,
for sure.
And that's my point. Like, I agree with you, Hado. I don't want to disagree with you. But if I'm playing devil's advocate and I'm looking at it from the other lens, right? Like, the only other game that has defeated Axie is games that did exactly what Axie did, slightly different, right? It's not the games that we all thought it was going to be. It's not like the Shrapnels of the world. It's not, the games that we were holding out for, Dead Drops of the world. It's the games that were like, okay, I actually did this cool play to earn loop or this cool speculative thing. Let's do a remix on it. And then boom, pixelated art style, all these RPG games coming out, all having success, right? And success is a loose term. We have to see it play out for like a year or so to see if it actually sticks up. But
they're
having more success than the things that we thought would have success by now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, both sides of the argument make sense because, and I'll just touch on the Axie point first. When we speak of the NFT volume they've pushed, I don't think there's any other project that has reached that milestone. Not the Bored Ape, not the Punks, not whoever.
Yeah, right? To this day, Axie's still the number one traded NFT in history.
They have the largest community, sure. and let me kind of clarify what I meant. What I meant was that the price was at an astronomical value, and then it came crashing down to earth. For sure. So what I'm saying is sustainability in terms of market cap and price, since we're looking at it through a Web3 lens, but gameplay wise and user base wise, they've never been stronger, right? Like it's still like the most active community in Web3. But yeah, all I mean was like the price, right? And that's what I'm saying is like, if the price goes down, market cap goes down, the valuation of the entire ecosystem goes down. Is that still successful? I would argue it's not, because a lot of liquidity left the market. However, those that stayed are still making it work, right? And that's the thing you got to understand with these games. Just because Shrapnel price is down or Big Time price is down doesn't mean people aren't making money. You know what I mean? People are still going to make money somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think one thing that can really help, as you stated, Hado, would be a platform that brings that individual who can afford the asset to that guy who's legitimately going to play. But beyond that, we also need to somewhat fragmentize this NFTs, because that one NFT cannot be that one access towards the game, right? And one other thing that makes some of these games win, because I'm scrolling on Moonfrost here. I definitely don't know these guys, but it's the dream they sell. The game is not yet live, or was it live?
It is live. Yeah, it is live.
Right?
Yeah, Walter. Go ahead, finish your thought. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm scrolling the page. It says access on the 29th of July. Like, they're selling that dream to individuals who think they're jumping in early, but as soon as you start delving into the numbers of how many actual players are going to be involved, how many players are involved daily, so on and so forth, that's when that dream really starts crashing down. Because I remember with Beam as well, they were selling this upcoming airdrop, this upcoming game release. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when you talk about like business, right? We talk about like the business side of the gaming, like really what you're talking about, selling hopes and dreams. There's actually a motivational speaker I like to watch called Walter Bond. and this guy was a NBA player. He came off the bench, but he wanted to be in the NBA so bad, and he was like not ready at the collegiate level. And he asked his coach, like, how do I get there, right? And he was like, you got to do all these things and you'll be there. And he worked his ass off to get there. And so, like, he's a motivational speaker, and really what his message is when you're trying to sell business is you don't sell product, you sell hope and dreams, right? Like, that's his message to the world. It's like, don't sell product, sell hopes and dreams. And then he says, when Phil Knight wanted to run, he wanted to go for a run. He couldn't because there were no good running shoes. So he built Nike, and then he had some great running shoes. And the thing is, when you look at Nike commercials, they don't advertise like the shoe per se. They advertise the benefits, the lifestyle, the dreams of achieving things, right? The athletes, right? Those are hopes and dreams. And so what Moonfrost has done here is that they've allowed to.
Oh, my bad. You cut out for me.
Oh. What Moonfrost has done is they've pretty much given people hopes and dreams with their NFT launch. And if they can live up to that and give people more hopes and dreams for years to come, that's how you build business in this space. You're giving people hopes and dreams. They're tapping into it. And you're allowing I don't know if there's UGC, but you're basically allowing people to take whatever aspirations they have within gaming and stuff, and throwing that into Moonfrost, right? Because if you say you're gonna get an airdrop, you're gonna get all these different things, right? All these different accolades at this point in the stage, and there's more to come. It's no wonder why people are trading that, because they're like, "Ooh, the hype is there. What does that mean? What is the next thing coming? Like, what is that? I got to get in now."
Sure.
So you get this like FOMO, right? This space is driven by FOMO, by the way. Like, I know you guys know that this space is driven by FOMO. So if you say I'm missing out on something and it's trading at way higher than what they minted, yeah, it's.
I mean, look at what happened to you, like, at the beginning of the show, right? I was like, yo, Moonfrost is at 0.4. You're like,
yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, because it's a game I've made content on and I played. I'm like, wait, they did something with like an NFT already? Like, I didn't even know.
Yeah, so it's I think in general, with what I was gonna say is, I mean, we sell hopes and dreams with Catalyst, and by that I mean we don't sell, hey guys, we're a gaming community. We just have fun with our friends on the timeline, and people want to join in. It's a different type of like dream marketing, right? Instead of making commercials about the athletes, we are the athletes on the feed just having fun. And that is always the way to sell anything. And the best NFT projects or the best Web3 gaming projects know how to do that. But where it's fallen flat is the delivery, right? Like, you have Nike that, for example, they sell you that dream of the athlete with the sneaker, but then the sneaker holds up,
Yeah.
Facts.
Even Catalyst, like, sure, we're much smaller than most companies in this space, but smaller in funding, but not revenue. But let's clarify that. But
yeah,
when it comes to us building our product, our community, we match what we say, the dream that we sell, right? Like, you get the idea of having fun with your friends, playing games, doing shit, and then we actually do it. So we deliver on the promise. Web3 sells you the dream, and then they leave you with blue balls. They don't actually follow through.
You don't deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, too. And they also like just one more thing. I'm not kissing ass Nike, I swear, but what they do is they sell a narrative of those dreams, right? So like they'll show like commercials of like people running and they're tired, right? Or whatever, and it's like the shoe helped them get there, right? Like, that's the narrative, right? Like, this is the product you need to achieve your hopes and dreams, right? And Web3 has not offered that, where it's like, this magical shoe will make you the best gamer in my game, right? And I'm selling it for 0.08 ETH. And there's only 100 shoes. And if you don't have this shoe, it won't make you the best gamer. And you don't have like a physical advantage. You more so have like the mental advantage, right? Like
Yeah.
mentally, I think that this will make me better, and they find a way to sell that to you with the hopes and dreams. That's what Web3 is not delivering. They're not delivering on that side of it.
Yeah.
There's no
But-
narrative for me to like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to get this. Holy shit. So and so achieved
Yeah.
their dreams. I need to be like him. You know?
No, I agree. And then when finally the numbers actually pull out of the closet, that dream becomes a very dark reality to a nightmare. And investors just want out.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Something Ramen said earlier was, don't ruin SuperVibe by bringing it to Web3. Name something that SuperVibe would benefit from being on the blockchain. That is a fair point. You know, like as we're playing this game, I've been kind of like playing around for the last, since this shit went live like 4.5 hours ago. Kind of been thinking about Ramen's question. I mean, I could come up with a gimmick, but it would be just that, like a gimmick, right? Like, I could come up with some shit where it's like, I think a game like Supervive would have to have a genuinely like thriving peer-to-peer marketplace. I don't think it would be something that you can monetize really well as a game, which is probably why they're not interested. But I even struggle to think of how well this game is going to make money as a Web 2 game, right? Like, I know everybody's going to come back to the skins and the skins and the skins, but then I could just say, okay, so then make the skins NFTs in the end. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes Web3 doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as, oh shit, like the skin's there. And that's a basic ass fucking line, but it's literally just the truth. Like, just let me trade it with my friends then. Like, there is nothing else to add to this shit, in my opinion.
Yo, the chat is bugging for me. It said a message came out 15 minutes in the future. So I don't know what that's all about. But I saw Mighty Play and said, crap, I forgot about B.I.G. I mean, so did two of the panelists, but it's fine. But yeah, like to add to your point, I think the reason why games are hesitant to integrate with Web3 tech, if you turn on the TV and you see absolute degeneracy, and that's the industry that you want me to join, I'm not going to join that shit. And so what have they seen? That's what I want to know. What has any Web 2 or any developer that is curious about Web 3 seen? If you ask Seth, a bunch of scammers, right? We're all scammers, right? If you ask the general public that are, Web 2 gamers, NFT scam, because like they've absorbed all these headlines from CoffeeZilla and different YouTube creators and that one Indian guy, I can't remember his name, but he's always on all those topics. You guys know Indian in a dark room. I don't know what he's named, but he's always doing something Rutabaker. I don't know. But basically, these people, when they come into this space, they're not seeing what we see. They're seeing what is going on. And the louder voice is always going to be negativity. It's always like, that's always going to move headlines. That's always going to make people react. It's always negativity first. And so I question maybe the reason why Supervive in particular or other games in the space don't know how to insert blockchain tech, because they simply have seen people implement it in a way that they think is anti-gamer, isn't helping anyone, and it's just not what they want to do. So maybe they need to be kind of given a different lens of like, hey, this is how you can implement Web3 blockchain technology into your game, and these are the benefits for you as the game dev, and the benefits for the players. I think once it's laid out that way, I'm sure people would hop on in a heartbeat. But I mean, honestly, I don't blame them. Like, you turn on Web3 Twitter, you seeing dudes zooted out the Zaza at some conference. You seeing all these people do some weird ass shit IRL. That's Web3. You know what I mean? Like, our industry needs to mature into how it's presented, but also people need to understand that there's many, many layers to Web3. Like, I've met people that want to do an oil company in Web3, And I don't even know how that would work in concept, but that is way left field compared to like the NFT NYC meetup, the Bitcoin conference, LA NFT, Paris NFT. What do you see on that party? Party. It's all a big party in Web3. It's all a fucking big party. But nobody sees like the actual things that they're doing, right? Nobody cares. That's what we're giving the public. And now I'm talking to you guys that are doing that party shit. You understand that? Like, that's the reason why niggas don't fuck with us. Because y'all niggas want to party all day and don't want to talk about some real ass shit. So you guys are actually the reason why no one wants to adopt it. You talk about mass adoption. Nobody adopting it because everybody is snorting cocaine and doing party life. Grow up. I'm done with my rant.
I honestly don't think I personally don't want mass adoption. Like, gatekeep it. That's my opinion.
Well, you can gatekeep it to a certain degree.
In my opinion, like that's the biggest misconception that people have with someone like me. I don't want mass adoption. I don't think everybody should have access to this tech. I really don't. I think it comes with a certain level of responsibility and gatekeeping that is like, this is going to sound classist as fuck, but not everybody gets to be in equestrian growing up, right? Like, there is certain levels of access that certain things have, and if you have a certain IQ level to be able to fuck around and find out in Web3 tech and have the risk tolerance to do that shit, then you belong here. If you don't, then you don't belong here. It's really that simple. Nobody asked for anybody else to be here. Like, I've never talked about mass adoption. I don't give a fuck. Personally,
Robin said people want to put a twin turbo on a Prius. Sometimes it's just not needed. And he also said they'd be powdered up at events, drinking themselves into alpha leaks. Yeah, like nothing can be secret, and like, you know, like it's not a spectacle because everyone's like leaking everything. Don't even get started. We need to wrap. We're over time.
We need to wrap this up. We need to wrap it up.
Let's go around for closing thoughts. Go ahead, Consul.
Yeah, for my closing thought, I think one thing we also need to put into perspective a lot more. I do agree that the loudest narrative is negative. Hopefully that will change with time once we balance our economies and have that game, which is quote unquote a AAA appeal. But one thing we also have to put into perspective is the fact that in the traditional industry as well, gaming without Web3, their failure rate is massive. Right? It is not that easy to have a title that can give you enough income for you to generate another title. Okay? And the majority of what is going on in this space is startup, new idea, new game, new team, and that's bound to come with its risk. If they fail genuinely, I can't consider that a scam. It's just business. If the lady downstairs opens a shop and she's not getting enough foot traffic, adios. You're not a scammer. You just did not understand the fundamentals of business. And that's one thing I also need people to really wrap their heads around.
Yeah, but gamers are a whiny ass bunch of people. Like, myself included, Otto included, bunch of whiny motherfuckers, right? So yeah, I mean, sure. Like, gamers are gonna be like, "Oh my god, it's a scam! What the fuck?"
Yeah, especially when it comes to the financial aspect of it. If you have taken somebody's money and you're no longer operating your servers, no longer updating your game, they're bound to feel that way. So there's gonna be that attachment always to this ecosystem. But nonetheless, this has been a good convo. I'm still shocked that there's an NFT that pushed for around $1,000, bro. That is the salary of 3 Kenyans, maybe, right? Like, that is literally a lot of money. And I think, just to add to what Hado said about a platform that brings investor with gamer together, we also need to start looking at fragmentizing these games. Shout out to everybody who did not join. I want to give a shout out to Jordan. I think he's released something. It needs my phone number, which is double for all DJs, because we're trying to stay anonymous. But just shout out to the guy, and thank you guys for the conversation.
Hell yeah, man. Mizzy, you go.
Final thoughts are, hopefully next week we have our hosts. That would be nice. If you guys are hearing me, yes, I'm a little pissed. Not gonna lie. Uh, uh, and secondly, listen, there is a lot of stuff that happens outside of the traditional gaming bubble, even the core Web3 gaming bubble. I mean, play things that are happening in other countries, other social media places like, Facebook, um, TikTok, not as much, but primarily Facebook and places like WeChat, other communities that are big on Web3 gaming, that they get the speculative and the asset side of the games. Whether or not this side of the community wants to get it, they're going to get it. So keep an open mind, experiment more, really look into the ecosystems of the games that you're playing. So that way, if it's something that you actually believe in or something that you enjoy, get a little upside in it. Like, I'm not saying this is financial advice or spend a bunch of money, but I would have hated to be someone that was playing Moonfrost often and not have gotten the 0.4 ETH pump or something,
Okay. Okay.
But just do your research and keep an open mind. That's all I'm saying.
All right. My closing thought is, we're not in high school anymore. Grow up, you fucking bitches. Also, I'm going to be streaming Super Vive after this, so stay tuned for that. But I love the conversation today. I think it was very good. I am also mad that the hosts have left. But I do think the big takeaway that we've gotten from today is that just because it's not a game in your eyes doesn't mean you can't gamify it. Because if you saw that kind of activity going on, you could have capitalized and made it back. So I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. Take some chances, and I guess Pixel Games is on the rise for Web3. I don't know, man. Like, if I see another Pixel game come out of the woodwork and it has some mint, I'm buying in. I'm buying in.
Please, God, don't. Only buying if it's a game you're playing you believe in, man. Jesus.
Yeah, we're past those days. We just want money.
Later, guys.